We now introduce a man who was at Saturday's volleyball match against USC with your daughter, Greg Wrubell, the radio play-by-play on the IMG Cougar Sports Network. What did you think of that performance, and did you enjoy it being in the crowd there?
Always do. And I hit like a match or two a year, it seems. I want to go when it's most impactful, clearly. I had a great time.
Yeah.
My daughter, gave her a brief education on the sport on the way in. So she was able to enjoy it a little more. Mm-hmm. We had a blast. Always a good time.
Did you point out Taylor Sanders? Like, hey, watch that guy.
Yeah, 15.
He has wings.
He's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's good at volleyball.
Like an eagle.
Greg Wrubell is on BYU Sports Nation. We've been talking about the 5 transfers that BYU is bringing in, the 3 they signed on signing day, and then the 2 graduate transfers that they added to the mix. We've been talking about who we think is going to be the most impactful transfer. I said Devon Blackman. Brian naturally said Harvey Jackson, the DBs. Who do you think will be the most impactful transfer?
Well, only because Bronco's proven that almost kind of no matter who you put into different positions, that defense is going to perform. Only because he has such a good track record with that, and he's brought in nice talent, this season certainly, to kind of buttress the defensive backfield. But I think because the greatest struggles with this team last year were on the offensive end, particularly in the throw game. I think that trio of newcomers at wideout will have the greatest impact as a group. Bronco talked a lot about needing to not only work on the horizontal part of the game, but the vertical part of the game, and this allows him to do that more so than he did last year. And really, it was really the missing ingredient from last year's equation. The run game did enough. I mean, statistically, and I don't look at yards per game as much as I look at yards per rush now, but even yards per rush, they were a top 25 unit last year, and they blew the previous record for rushing yards in a season out of the water at BYU. It really was throw game issues, and I think that the addition of Kurtz and Blackman and Leslie allow Bronco and Taysom to do more than they did there last year. So that's my answer for that reason.
So who's the one guy that you would pick as the most impactful?
That's my question. Which one would you pick?
Well, I haven't seen anything other than film of Devon Blackman and Jordan Leslie. Blackman appears to be...
Yeah, we're guessing for sure to a degree.
Blackman appears to be the most explosive of the bunch, the most likely to break a big play for you. But I thought Nick Kurtz from day one to the end day of spring ball showed a lot of improvement.
Boom.
And so because I've seen
Brian's
it...
man crush.
So because I've seen him, with my own eyes and watched him progress in the space of only a month, I was really impressed with what Nick Kurtz did in that space of time.
Okay.
And I know that last year when they were recruiting him, and he was really again, Blackman and Leslie were kind of surprises almost. Kurtz they were into and really hoping to get this guy, and you could tell when they got him, they felt
Wes Welker.
Yeah, clearly he was doing his work. When they got him, they felt that they really landed a special talent. So I think all those things taken together, is that where you're going, Brian?
That's me and Jerem and a couple other guys had this discussion earlier with Jordan Leslie or Nick Kurtz, and who would you choose? Which one? I chose Nick. I mean, I have a man crush on him, but looking at his film,
probably the most hyped in terms of who recruited him. Leslie's the proven guy.
He has the hype, but. I mean, you look at his JC film, I thought it was high school. I struggled for literally 2.5 minutes. And
because he was that much better?
He was that much better. And, I mean, his size and his speed and his athleticism, I said, why can't I find this kid's JC tape? This is high school. Then I realized, oh, wait a minute. This is his JC tape. Oh, my gosh. This is a whole, I mean, that looked like a high school tape. So imagine what he's going to do once he gets his feet wet.
And I love the versatility of this group. We're talking about different kinds of receivers. Blackman, explosive. Leslie, possession receiver might be an understatement. 2,000 career receiving yards. He's maybe the Hoffman.
He's done it at this level for years already. And so I think that's the one guy that may come in and say, you guys don't know you guys don't know what you're getting here. You're getting someone that knows what he's doing already. And hopefully that shows up early.
See, and that's the argument there is that he's proven himself. He's done it. Nick is trying to find the speed of the game
at a different level.
Beef up a little bit.
Beef up.
He and Mitch Matthews just need to just be on the same diet. Just hang out. We're the 6'6" guys.
Don't forget Alani. Don't forget Alani Fua. Hashtag feed Alani.
They eat at the lanky table.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Greg Wrubell is on BYU Sports Nation. We talked about how of those 5 transfers, 4 are receivers, which is interesting. I didn't feel that there was this mega need coming out of last season for receivers, but apparently. because they signed 4.
Yeah, I thought, Cody Hoffman, just his mere inclusion in that group brings them up to a pretty high level. I mean, that's a special talent.
Devin Mahina was hilarious. He was on, I said, how did you guys throw for as many yards as you did with the offensive line that somehow, I guess, struggled to that degree? He said, Cody Hoffman. We had Cody Hoffman.
Yeah, so because he's in that group, they're a good group.
Yeah.
But beyond him, I think you're seeing the inclusion now of versatility that wasn't there last season. And again, what you're looking for is consistency in targeting, consistency in performance. You want to see the catch rate get back up to where it was a couple of seasons ago. I thought it took a drop last year.
You're talking completion percentage,
and
from the receivers,
and just catch rate too. Them doing their jobs, at a higher level.
A lot of drop balls.
Yeah, and so I think you're going to have certainly more options. I mean, you can, you'll be able to put, I think, 6 receivers out there, 2 for 3 spots, or 1.5 guys for 4 spots, and feel like you've got a pretty decent rotation as long as they can just stay healthy. But it's a long group too. I mean, there's just some tall dudes that Taysom can throw to now on a pretty regular basis.
So Coach Mendenhall has had a pretty significant pattern with DBs and JC transfers and corners. So you have guys like myself and Corby Eason and Trent Trammell last year, Sam Lee, Preston Hadley. Now we see this trend this year with JC transfers on the receivers side. Do you expect this trend to continue to move forward? Because what happens is that when these JC guys, they have 2 years, right, to play, and then potentially maybe the high school kids aren't going to be ready by that time. And so with the DBs, you see that the trend is that, okay, once a JC transfer leaves, I got to replace him with another JC transfer, and then another, and another.
Yeah, that's why it can't be your program MO. It's just too unstable having to go to that rotation. But I think what Bronco sees is a window, and a lot of it's related to Taysom Hill. He wants to get the right people with him for this time. I don't think it's overstating to say, this year's schedule, the way it's set up. If you can have a lightning in the bottle type of season, this might be the perfect time. To inaugurate the playoff era, if you will. Yep. There's one extra big money bowl that they brought into this thing now, and now that you've got a committee, things are a lot more subjective. And if you rattled off an undefeated season with this schedule, you'd impress those people because there are linchpin games. Texas and Houston and Utah State and Boise State and Central Florida. And to me, that Texas game so much hinges on Austin in week number 2. Even though Texas isn't, where Charlie Strong hopes it is.
And he just said, I guess, today or yesterday,
we're not going to be in the national title. He wants to limit expectations a bit.
It's still winning expectations. So when he loses, he won't get fired.
It's still winning in Austin.
Yeah.
And if BYU can get itself to 2-0, just getting to 2-0 has been tough. I mean, in the Bronco era, they're always that team that battles from behind. They'll fall down 1-2 and then make the run. Right. If they could get to that 2-0, 3-0 start with this year with this year's schedule and the collection of talent around Taysom Hill, especially offensively, it could be a special season for BYU. I believe that things are set up for that. Now back to what you talked about JCs and that kind of rotation. I've always felt bad for JCs that come in with 2 years to play in the defensive backfield because it was so tough to gain Broncos' trust as a DB. You had to learn so much and be so good so quickly. And can you do it in those 2 seasons? And you can speak from experience to that. You had to know a lot and be able to do a lot, to get on the field. And you bring in JUCOs for a reason. They're supposed to be good enough to contribute right away. Right. But I always thought that with Bronco, it was tough to make, to gain his trust and make sure that you were as assignment sound as you needed to be on the field every down.
Yeah, it is. That's the biggest thing he says is how, can I trust you? And he actually uses that off the field as well. He said if you have good grades and you're not getting in trouble and you're doing those things right, that's going to translate to the field. If I can trust you outside of football, I can trust you, inside of football and putting you on the field with the rest of the group. And so yeah, it's tough, it's a struggle, but I mean, He gives you the necessary resources to be successful. Pursuit drills is an example.
At the very end of practice, those are always fun to watch. Greg Wrubell is on BYU Sports Nation. Thinking about Taysom Hill and how you improve the passing game, what improves it more, a better offensive line or better receivers to you?
I think that they kind of go hand in hand. I think that the offensive line may be the most. It doesn't really matter what you've got on the outside if you're not going to have the time and space needed to find them. I think it really does start up front. And I've used this reference a few times when asked about the offensive line. You know, Robert and I only had 2 seasons at Arizona, but I think they were very instructive in terms of what he was able to do with that O-line, because the first offensive line he had in Tucson had literally now 1 career start from the group. Ooh. From the group, he had 1 career start. That was a rebuilding offensive line, and that first year was a struggle. Now it was a Stoops team. It was Stoops' last team, and Robert got them into good enough shape, and they did what they could. But it was a really raw group. The next year, Rich Rod comes in. An entirely new offense. These guys all had to learn to perform, but they were so much better. And the offense took a great leap. In that first year with Rich Rod, the O-line, I thought, was one of the keys to that resurgence in just year 2. And so now you've got Robert and I, who in his first season, it wasn't just the 1 career start situation he was dealing with. It was a little different. It was like, who do I have and how can I cobble these guys together? We saw so many different rotations from the offensive line in year 1. I think that was similar to Robert's first year in Tucson. You get that one out of the way, and now you start to build.
You expect a leap, big leap in year 2?
That's my hope. That is my expectation, because I've seen it with what he did down in Tucson just very recently. If the same kind of jump is evident, BYU is going to be a much better offensive team. And again, yes, the yards were there last year, but the points weren't.
The red zone
wasn't. Yeah. It was a lot of. This sounds too negative a connotation. A busy work offense. There were so many plays run, but not to enough effect.
Yeah.
If the efficiency improves this year, this can be a very, very powerful offense, and I think it's going to all start up front with that offensive line. And Robert's excited about certain guys, and Robert's pretty mellow in terms of how he likes to hype stuff.
So if he gets excited, it's legit.
If he gets excited, I'm excited. And I think he's excited about a lot of those guys on his offensive line.